Hein is sort of the boss in the band. He's our big brother, our father, our manager, our boss. He's bossing around, and it's sort of annoying sometimes, but we couldn't do without him.
He takes care of everything. He does all the office work, so to say, and yeah, he's really enthusiastic about everything, and he's a big drive force in the band.
Without him, we would probably be going nowhere really fast or really slowly. Drummer, of course, but I think his strongest card is being the man who pulls the strings and makes everything work for us.
Lawrence was really young when I met him. He was 15. And I watched him grow from a teenager to a grown man. He takes things very seriously, and he dedicates himself really well to things.
Lawrence is the Tetris master. He always likes to go packing. He's always like a part of the crew when we're traveling. And he's also the one who makes all the great melodies for, well, the best songs, really.
He's the travel agent guy, so he takes care of us when we're at the airport and stuff. And he's also been very important when it comes to the musical parts, you know.
Just a sweet, honest, totally, we could totally rely on him, always.
Raymond is a bastard, really, but he's a really fun bastard to be around.
He's totally unreliable and, you know, selfish, useless, you know, all of the above. But he's a really great guy.
He's an enigma. I've never quite understood what he's all about and what makes him tick. But we've grown to have a pretty good relationship over the years.
Raymond is theater of tragedy, I think, together with Hein and Lawrence. They're kind of the backbone of the band.
Very fun guy. When we travel, I'm always staying in a room with Raymond. We have a lot of fun, and just like two 14-year-old girls when we're out traveling together. It's a good guy to be with. Very funny.
Frank is a really great colleague. He's the guy who knows stuff about amps and guitars and pickups. I just play them. He knows about them. And we have great communication without speaking, so we speak fluent musician.
Frank's the silent type. He doesn't really say much, and can sometimes be a bit difficult to understand.
He's not the one fooling around too much. Always this serious guy, and we have to do it proper.
He's a bit quiet, but very decisive in the way he works and wants things to sound. When we make music together, that's a good thing to have, and he is very talented and very good at finding solutions.
Vegard is even the more silent type of all of us. He seldom says anything, but when he says something, it's either very thought-provocative or completely nonsense.
He's my brother in arms, you know, guitarist. I think somebody nicknamed us T1 and T2 for some time. It was Terrible Twin 1 and Terrible Twin 2.
He's a talented musician. I think he's probably the most musician out of all of us. He's played a lot of instruments, and he knows a lot about like music stuff.
In the beginning, he's always very quiet, and then it's like suddenly you push a button, and he's like, and he's very funny.
Nell is the new girl. She has a great voice and good character. I think she's a really cool lady to be around. she's like one of the guys.
The whole mood of the band lightened quite a lot when Nell entered the band. It became quite a different working atmosphere, and she's a very positive person, and she's really, you know, she really wants to get things done, and she wants to get things done properly, and she really kicks us in the ass to get things done.
She kind of challenged every one of us in how we worked in the band, how we did things in the band, and she's yeah. She is also extremely talented when also making music, making melody lines, making arrangements.
I think without her, the band would have ended probably earlier than it did.
Very charming and a lot of fun to be with.
It was basically just me and a neighbor listening to whatever doom, death metal bands and didn't have any instruments, didn't know how to play any instruments or anything, but we just wanted to start a band. So I actually bought a guitar and he had a guitar, and we just tried it out in his garage.
I remember reading an ad about a band called Suffering Grief needed a drummer, and at a local record store called Running Free. And the owner, he sort of gave me the contact for Raymond.
I started talking with Raymond at the party, and they said they had this band like doom death metal, and they needed keyboards. That would be cool just for the demo, but that would be cool with some keyboards, yeah.
We agreed the 2nd of October 1993 to meet up, to start rehearsing.
Pretty much just gathered a few people that didn't know what they were doing, and then tried making some songs.
I remember we turned off all the lights and had candles and shit, and starting just jamming. And it was me and Raymond on vocals, and Tommy, our old guitar player, Lindahl, and Paul, which was a childhood friend of Raymond's, and also for first time Lawrence.
We made our first song on the first rehearsal, and it was very exciting. It kind of, everybody was kind of, oh, how did this happen? And because we just tried to mix riffs together, and that really started something. We had a lot of fun on the practice. We made music there, and then after a while as well, we thought it would be cool to have female vocals. And then Liv, the girlfriend of Raymond at that time, she also, just for the demo.
Because nobody knew anything except Lawrence. He was pretty much the only one that knew what he was doing. The rest of us were just making it up as we went along.
A lot of people thought they were very calculated, and you know, that we really calculated these moves over the years. But to be honest, they all came really naturally, and it served a specific purpose at a specific time in our career.
Well, people change over time, and like musical preferences and everything just changes, and different people have tried making music like to contribute.
I think it was Raymond who started making music on his computer or something like that at home, and for some reason that influence, you know, he brought that into theater.
We needed always to do something new for ourselves in order to challenge ourselves and to try out ideas. And since we're all kind of diverse persons that's been in the band, and also different tastes, and also wanted to try out music that we were inspired by, and maybe not fitting in the style that we were playing, that's how our style kind of developed all the time.
But all the changes was necessary in order for the band to continue making music. I think if we didn't do the electronic period, early 2000, 2001, 2002, I think the band would have broken up and never made music again.
We couldn't just make the same album over and over again, just changing a few bits or playing kind of the same type of songs.
Because we sort of needed to break a little bit away from the shackles of the goth metal genre that we helped create, and sort of reinvent ourselves. And it was more challenging music-wise to do something completely different.
You got a lot of people say, well, what the hell are you playing? And well, we're playing our music. And that's what we want to do, and that's what we need to do.
Commercially, it was a bit of a suicide. It turned out, but at the time when we did it, it all made kind of sense.
But after a few years, you sort of come back to your original point. Thing has gone full circle, you know, and you sort of say, well, what we did back then was not necessarily as, you know, terrible as we made it out to be when we were doing the electronic stuff, and vice versa.
Up until assembly, I think sort of had an ally in Liv, including assembly, and then when we kicked her out of the band, sort of lost an ally. So I was, it was me against the others pretty much. So there was no room for assembly 2.
I would say we had a good run. We've experimented with a lot of stuff, and I think we did it all with, you know, our heads high.
It had been a period of much tension up to the point where Liv left. The cooperation between the band, the people here in Norway and her in Germany was really deteriorating, and it really became impossible getting any proper work done.
After recording the Aegis album, things started going a bit wrong because we had problems working with her, like creatively and writing music, and I'm sure she had a lot of problems working with us.
But it was a strange period, like with her living in Germany and having all those different bands and projects going on, which sort of pissed us off.
There was a lot of issues coming up that we were told by third parties and by hands-on information and a lot of things. It just got very complicated to continue the work relationship with Liv.
And with the sneaky launch of Liv's Eyes, I kind of broke the deal.
I feel sorry for Liv for this, because she really got stepped back by it. But she's a sweet person, and also very talented. She's been playing a big role in theater tragedy, and also she's had a lot of hard times because we had issues with her before, and she kind of sucked it in and went on stage and performed and really put her heart out, and also really did a good job.
Without a doubt, she has had a serious impact on this band. She's been a really important part of theater tragedy from the start, and she still is an important part of the band because she was there, you know, during the years when we were establishing ourselves, and she's been a front figure. But I think there wouldn't have been a theater if we would have continued with Liv. I think the band would have rather split than to continue.
Getting Nell on board as a new member was quite refreshing. We were used to being a bit on the lazy side and just pissing about and wasting time. She wouldn't really allow too much of that. Not in a strict or bitchy way, but she would try to keep some progress, keep some momentum, and actually do stuff.
But she's been really productive in the band. She writes songs, she writes lyrics, she writes all the melodies by herself. She likes to arrange stuff, and if she thinks a part is not good enough, she sort of, how do you say it, challenge us to do better. And I think that was something we needed in the band, somebody that was very positive and took a really great part in the whole process of the band.
The band, I think, came together in a whole new way when she joined.
In the beginning, I actually got a couple of nice hate mails. They were blaming me for Liv not being there anymore. Yeah, and all the comparison with Liv, it's not been hard because I mean I sing in my way, and Liv is Liv and Nell is Nell, and that's the way I've seen looked upon it all the time. but it gets sort of annoying. Like Nell is not doing it the way Liv did, and that's not very good.
Well, Nell is somewhat different from Liv as a singer. You know, she has a different voice, but their kind of personality is also quite different. And Nell is more one of the guys.
But to sing her songs has been challenging sometimes, because some of the songs is not really my style, and her singing, because I think it's important to keep the atmosphere of the songs and try to make them sound as much alike to the original as possible.
She has done a tremendous job with us, because I don't know, it's no secret that the guys in the band, all of us can be difficult and tough to work with.
It's been an incredible ride, to be honest. It's we've played the Martyrs place in Lebanon, in Beirut. Was brilliant. The whole stage was looking out on the Mediterranean Ocean, and the sun was going down, and we were sound checking, and we didn't expect us to have any fans in Lebanon, but when we started playing, there was like 3,000 crazy fans there, and we were like, what is this? We played for 25,000 people at the Mera Luna Festival a few years back. We've traveled the world. We've been to South America. We've been to Russia. We've been to all kinds of places.
Like the whole year 2010, where we did our final tour in Europe, we managed to play a lot of countries, and that was very good. And then we finally got to go to South America and meet all the lovely people down there, and they're so like, if you have 500 people there, it sounds like 5,000. It's so fun to play. And also we got to do 3 shows here in Norway, and we ended on October in 2010 playing in our hometown, and it was very heartwarming to see all the people that have been around us all these 17 years and being in the audience, listening and having fun with us. And that was a very emotional concert. So and also a high point of a very, very, very good year.
For the first time on that European tour in March, I really felt when I was on stage, I was really, really alive. And the band, it was working so good. And I didn't want to leave the stage.
I think what I'm most pleased about looking back is the last gig. I think it went really good, and it was everything that I hoped for it to be.
Probably getting a recording contract, the first. And then it's just been downhill, probably. No. I don't know. Now getting a contract, that was definitely a high point. Never thought that would happen after such a short time, like with the constellation we had then. We had been like together for like a little bit more than half a year. 7 months or something before we got a contract, so that was definitely high.
As banal as it seems, it probably was when I joined the band full time. I've been playing like a session guitarist for about a year, and it was either get more involved or do something else. And yeah, I'm here, so that's what we decided to do. I was quite happy with that.
But also writing music, listening to the Storm songs, and you got the final results, and you sort of heard that this is going to be a nice, good song, and yes, we got it. That's been a great kick as well.
Then again, a lot of low points, there's been a lot of shit going down in the band over the years. There's been been illness, and there's been fights, and there's been discussions, there's been family deaths, there's been all kinds of crazy stuff, bad shows, bad organizers. We got refused entrance to Moscow one time because our visas were the wrong date. So we had to wait in quarantine for about 12 hours. And we were there in quarantine with like criminals that set fire to the waste baskets, and we didn't get any food. We had to smuggle food over a fence from the promoter, and yeah, it was just crazy. And then like a minute before midnight, they just sort of took us to the other place and then stamped us in and then let us in. And just they couldn't let us in. Bureaucracy for you. We've done shows without bassist because the bassist was sick. We entered the place and the promoter has fled with all the money, so there's no money. We've been caught by a snowstorm, delaying our flights, so we entered the stage half a day later than we were supposed to. We've done shows without members because they overslept, and we got a bass player in that did all the notes on nice papers. It was a big outdoor festival in between Gravedigger and Merciful Fate, two very evil bands. And we got on there with our nice piano, goth metal, and one less guitar player, session bass player. And the first thing that happens, we did the first note, was that all the papers flew away. And he did free jazz for about 40 minutes, which was quite horrible. And I think our baseball caps was quite far in our eyes during the rest of the day.
I guess calling it a day was, will be, it wasn't a happy decision. It was a sad day when we made the decision, this is it, we're going to finish it. And even if we had like a year or more of work ahead of us after having made the decision, yeah, that was probably the lowest point. The rest have all been a laugh, really.
Ending the band, even though it felt good, it felt terrible.
New Year's Eve in Vienna, that would actually qualify as my lowest point in my theatre tragedy history, because we had really big expectations for the concert being New Year's Eve, and New Year's Eve concert in Vienna. It should be great. It wasn't. It was completely terrible. And everybody were really down afterwards. But then this girl comes from the promoter or something and says, if you like, we can go to this fetish club. And it sounded fantastic. We had images of this movie, like a Matrix or Blade kind of place where everybody looks fantastic and they're all really nice. So we come to a place. It's a small cafe. It's called Smart Cafe, SM Art. And yeah, we think, well, it could still be cool. Intimate, small, still beautiful people. And we come inside, and I think the average age in there is in the mid-50s. And mainly male, a lot of leather, way too much skin showing. And me and Raymond spent most of the evening huddled in a corner because there was this guy walking up and down the floor, eyeing, well, one of us. And it was, yeah, it was an exciting evening.
That would have to be assembly on account of it. I contributed quite a lot to it, and well, it's the most electronic one, which is suits my preferences pretty much. And it's the most fun and up tempo and least mopey album, I think. So yeah, that's my favorite.
It would probably be Storm or what was it called again? Forever's the World. I guess it's a draw between them. I quite like I guess as well, but they're really different. They can't be compared directly. But yeah, if I had a gun to my head and had to pick one, it would probably be Storm.
Oh, it's the last one. Forever's the World. Yep.
Velvet Darkness They Fear, I was really involved with doing a lot of new things on that one, and that was when we first knew that okay, we really sold a lot of albums on the first one, and this is probably going to get big, and we believed so much in our thing and our songs and everything, and we were still kind of very young and hungry, a bit more hungry than we were on the last years.
It's for me, it's like when I've done an album, I don't really listen to it after. I put it in my CD shelf and leave it there, because it's been such a struggle making it, and if I listen to the songs, it just reminds me of difficulties and fights and to make the songs, and so it's kind of painful mostly to listen to my own albums. But maybe the Storm album is kind of my favorite album. I think there's a lot of great tracks on that one. And I also have a special relation to the Aegis album, since it was my first recording with TOT.
It's difficult because I have different relationships to different albums, but I think the ones that I grade the highest is probably the last two records, Forever's the World and Storm, as well as Aegis and Velvet Darkness They Fear. It changes a lot, but they're the four records I'm most proud of, to be honest. The rest, I think, would have been a wise move to re-record maybe sometime in the future.
That would be Beauty of Deconstruction from Storm. No, that's not the one. Disintegration, actually.
Motion or Superdrive, one of those two, I think.
I've always had a very close relationship to the Masquerado and Phoenix from Velvet Darkness They Fear, because that originally was like a 13-14 minute song that we started rehearsing, and me and Lawrence worked really hard on getting that song together, and the rest of the band was really reluctant to record it. They didn't really see the potential in it. So I was really happy when we were able to pull that off and record it and release it, because it was a lot of hard work getting there. I'm also very happy with the title track of the last record, Forever's the World, which is a very emotional piece, very descriptive of the last tour and the last album and the end.
Fade on the Storm album is my favorite song, at least right now. Right now I'm more into like the epic kind of material.
Fade from Storm album. That's a song I think that's the one the piano, I get goosebumps when I hear it, and also when we got Nell in the band and started working with her on this song. The lyrics on the song, her singing, and also when we play that live, I get chills. It's, for me, that's one of the big songs. I can feel it now. I get goosebumps just by thinking of it, especially on the last show when we played that song. It's I think I cried at the end.
That's Fade, because I think Fade has so much of theater in it. It's got the Lawrence piano parts. It's got the mellow tones, the nice and easy atmosphere, and then in the end, it's like in your face.
Are you ready, Barcelona? Well, I fade like we do before the sun. The silence of our seas, memories. And now I dream everything is just the same. Withering
Because of Raymond.
Yeah, well, I may be like a partial, well, part of the reason for ending the band. I haven't been all that happy with the music of the last album. Don't really like the music of the two last albums, so it's not fun doing the music, like recording it or whatever. It's fun enough live and like playing live and like being with the others in the band, but not sure I really want my name on all the tracks from the last albums.
I don't think the band would have survived another lineup change again, because this lineup has been sort of stable for a long period, and the band has had, I think we have more ex-members than members in the band, so there's been a lot of lineup changes, and people weren't really motivated to do that once more. If you take out one of the persons that are in the band now, there's a really big piece of the puzzle missing.
I think the whole band came to a point where not everybody was completely 100% dedicated to the band. The priorities went in different directions. People became, like family people, got kids, got mortgages, they got houses, real jobs that put food on the table, and it became more obvious for us that we weren't able to dedicate so much time to theatre tragedy as it deserves.
The way you can do a band now is to you have to play a lot more live, and in order to make a living out of it, and that's something that we cannot do because of obligations back with home, kids, work, and everything.
Life is so much more than just being in a band.
It's a bit strange. I've been in this band since I was 15 years old, and it's been a big part of my life. So I'm still not kind of grasping the whole idea. I'm not in it anymore. I think I'm trying to just block it out. So, and it was very strange today, seeing the live recordings from our last show. I really got emotional, and
It's a bit like losing a relative. We didn't actually see each other or work with music on a day-to-day basis, but when we got together, it was always fun, even when it was the hardest work or stressful or doing like routine stuff that is really quite boring. It was still fun because of the gang.
before we started to make Forever Is the World, we kind of decided that this was going to be the last album. We knew that, and everybody put their energy as much as they had into the project, and I think it turned out really, really good.
We decided to do our last album and have a farewell tour, and like have this decent way of quitting.
For me, when I struck the last chord on that show, and I felt that it had been a really great ending for the band and for the fans who came to see us, I was super happy. Although a lot of fans and a lot of the other guys in the band, they were really kind of crying, and I was like, yeah, this is great, you know, to have this you know, ending on a high note, you know.
A friend of mine used to say everybody dies, and bands do as well. There was just we'd spent all the energy. We didn't have any momentum to keep going, and yeah, we thought it was time to just end it.